This is number 33. It's time to add some fractions together with unlike denominators. So if these are the same, adding's very easy. If these are different, adding takes another step. I'll show you two different ways you can do this. The first way, I think, is an easy way to remember. It's not always the easiest to do, but it's an easy way to remember, the opposite denominator method. So I'll show you that first. I can take each one of these denominators, that's this number, and I can multiply them by the opposite denominator. So I can take 3/8, I'm going to leave a blank space here and fill that in a second, and 1/12. I can multiply the 3/8 fraction by the opposite denominator, by 12 over 12. And I can multiply the 1/12 fraction by the opposite denominator over here, by 8 over 8. Multiplying by a number divided by itself is like multiplying by 1, so I'm really just changing the way this number looks. I'm not changing what the number equals, I'm just changing the way it looks. Maybe it's like putting on a different pair of clothes for 3/8, and it comes out dressed up in its 36 over 96 outfit instead of 3/8. This I could reduce back down to 3/8, but I want to have a common denominator to add these fractions. So this would be equal to this plus this. I did 8 times, I got 1 times 8 is 8, and then 12 times 8, 96. Now that I have a common denominator, I can put those numbers together on the top. The denominator stays the same, it's still out of 96 things, and you're adding 36 out of 96 things plus 8 more out of 96 things for a total of 44 out of 96 things. If you look at your final answers, however, I do not see this as an answer because this can be reduced. So we can take each one of these, and I look at those and I know I could at least divide by 2. So why don't I start there? You may see a bigger number that divides evenly into both of those. I think I see a bigger one too, but I'm just going to start with this. So I've got 22. If I divide that by 2, this number divided by 2 would be 48. Can I keep dividing by something? Looks like I can. Looks like 2 will go into both of those again at least. And this would equal, this would be 11 on the top and 24 on the bottom. And now 11 is the only number that would divide evenly into 11 to make that a smaller number. It doesn't divide into 24, so this should be our final answer. So this one, it looks like, yep, that's over here, choice C. I told you I would do another method though. So let's talk about the lowest common denominator, or LCD method. To do that, you should find the lowest common multiples of 8 and 12, the lowest common denominator that those could have. So the multiples of these numbers of 8 and 12 would be 8 times 1, that's 8, 8 times 2, 16, 8 times 3, 24, 8 times 4, 32, and so on. I'll write more if I need to. I'll come back and change that list if I need to, but nope, it looks like 12 times 1, 12 times 2 is 24. They've got a number in common. This is the lowest number they have in common right here, 24 and 24. So I can do this more simply. What I did here, without having to reduce, I can do it more simply by using the LCD, the lowest common denominator, or you can think of this as the LCM. The LCM will be the LCD, the lowest common denominator. Lowest common multiple is LCM. So I've got 3/8. I'm going to leave a blank space again. I've got 1/12. I still need to get a common denominator, but by multiplying by particular numbers, I'm going to get the lowest common denominator. This was not the lowest. 96 was not the lowest common denominator. It was just a common denominator. The lowest one is 24. If I multiply 8 by 3, I'm going to get 24. So I have to multiply by the same number on the top so that I make sure I'm multiplying the number by 1 and just changing how it looks. Same thing applies over here, except I need to multiply by 2. So 2 over 2 will get 24 there. This leaves me with, looks like 3 times 3, that's 9. 8 times 3 is 24. And then on this one I've got 2 and 24. Notice if I put those two numbers together, common denominator is still 24. That stays the denominator. And this is 11. No reduction necessary if you use the LCD. So I don't have to divide by anything. Both ways though, in the end, properly simplified over here, properly done over here, get me the final answer of choice C, 11/24.